Welcome back to another episode on the Dynamic Lifestyle Podcast. We have Rylee Meek in the house. How you doing, Rylee? Finally, we're able to make that happen, so I appreciate the time.
20 game-changing books. Your Divine Fingerprint by Keith Craft, and Make Your Bed.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode on the Dynamic Lifestyle Podcast. We have Rylee Meek in the house. How you doing, Rylee?
Doing great. What's happening, guys?
It's going well, man. We were just catching up a little bit before we hit the record button and stuff, and it's been a while, right? I mean, you had us on your podcast back in, I would say about like July or August of last year. So it's been a while since we caught up. Yeah.
Wow. Well,
Crazy,
it's about
man.
time we catch up.
I know. I was like, I got to get Rylee on our podcast, and finally we're able to make that happen. So I appreciate the time.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be fun, guys. I always love to rip it with you.
Absolutely. I know you're going to deliver a lot of value. So let's start off with what we call rapid dynamic questions. And how this kind of goes, Rylee, is we're going to ask you just really short form questions. I just want the audience to get to know you a little bit better. And then you can just give me short answers to the best of your ability. That'd be awesome. Right. Sound good?
Let's do it. So I got to answer it real quick. Is that
as fast as possible?
Okay. All right. It's a good thing I had my caffeine this morning.
Go for it, Chris. All right, here we go. So Rylee, if you had let's just say you said that you got a new apartment over on the Star in Frisco, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, cool, man. Let's say if they granted you a huge billboard right there, like overlooking Frisco, what would that billboard say and why?
It's going to say about me or just anybody?
Anything you want, about you, a message, anything.
It'll be the King's Council logo.
Okay.
How about that?
I like it. And we'll dig deeper about what King's Council is too. So that's good.
Perfect. That's my new passion right now. So I'm happy to do that.
Where were you born and raised, and where do you currently live right now?
Miller, South Dakota, was born. And I was raised there, within an hour of there, at least, up until the age of 17. And I now live, part-time in a lot of different places. Minneapolis, Minnesota is where I'm at right now, but we've got a place in Clearwater Beach, Florida. And then now, as you know, a part-time place there in Frisco, Texas.
Yeah. Awesome, man. All right. Finish the sentence. The world needs more of
kingdom entrepreneurs.
All right. What are 2 skills every entrepreneur should master in 2021?
Delegation and client acquisition.
All right. Okay. What were 2 game-changing books you read in 2020?
2020 game-changing books. Your Divine Fingerprint by Keith Craft, and Make Your Bed. I forget the guy's name.
Okay.
Good book though. It's just essentially like you wake up in the morning, just do one thing right away, and that'll set the precedence for the rest of the day. And making your bed is one of the first things.
Okay, like it. What's a favorite quote that you have?
Constantly be consciously aware of how you can be better.
Okay. Who's been the biggest influence in your life thus far?
Biggest influence in my life, man. I'll go recently. Again, we were talking about Keith Craft. Most recently, Keith Craft.
Yeah, amazing guy. All right, last one, Rylee. What's your biggest worry these days?
Oh, jeez. Oh man, my biggest worry. It sounds silly, but it really is just that. Am I making enough impact in this world? Like I know we're making an impact, but is it enough? Is it enough that's going to be the legacy? Not that I'm hoping to leave, but just I want to be living that legacy right now as an example for others.
Gotcha. Love that, man. Well, appreciate you answering those questions. You are off the hot seat for now.
Woo! Man, got my heart right now.
All right, let's get this started, man. I want to start off with just like the whole thing with the pandemic, right? It was just 2020 was just a really crazy, weird year, but I know a lot of us learned a lot. There were silver linings. So let's just talk about that. What were some silver linings that you just found both personally and business-wise in 2021 that you have been able to carry over into this year and especially through Q1?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you guys know, but your listeners may not, most of my businesses leading up until this point were all live in-person events in restaurants. So if you can think of like the few main things that we're not allowed to do in 2020, it's like eat at a restaurant and attend things in person. So my business world was rocked completely last March, a little over a year ago now, in which when they announced the lockdowns essentially of restaurants no longer being able to be open. That week we had over 300 events that we had to, or excuse me, we had over 100 events, 111 events that week, over $300,000 in revenue that I had already spent, invested, that I wasn't going to get a return on. And so I had to quickly pivot. If you've heard anybody use that word at all this last year, it's like the most annoying word to me now. But it is pivot, right? Everybody had to pivot. So I had to switch things and get things in an online mode into Zoom, which was something that I wanted to do. I just didn't take the time to do until I had to do it, right? So definitely a silver lining is that allowed me to focus on getting all of our, not only our sales reps presentations and everything online, but getting all of our clients on there as well. So we, along with everybody else, went online, got all of our sales and presentations online, to do, Zooms, webinars, things like that, it was interesting. A lot of, there's nothing, and still to this day, that I don't believe there will ever be a better way to convert people from making a buying decision better than live in-person events, right? Just that there's just a social dynamic that happens when you're able to sit down with somebody, shake their hand, hug them, whatever it is. That's just special about being live and in person with people. Now, if I can't do that, that's okay. I'm going to go online. I just know that the numbers are going to be different, right? From a percentage standpoint. So I got to start with a bigger funnel in order to get the amount of people that I need to make a proper ROI. So that was another just silver lining, if we call it. And there's a lot of silver linings. As crappy as 2020 was for a lot of people, it was one of the greatest years of my life, really, just because it allowed me to really see what was important. Yeah. And we were able to, I formed a partnership with Steve Weatherford, and we formed the King's Council, which is our Kingdom faith-based legacy entrepreneurship coaching program with people all throughout the country. And that started, online initially, but then now we're doing live events and things as well. So had that not happened, I might still be out just slinging whatever it is in my dinner seminars, selling whatever it is, things that I'm not really passionate about. Yep. So it's allowed me to focus on what I'm truly, truly passionate about.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Like my question is just like, what got you into kind of just like this, like entrepreneur blood, like for better, lack of better words, cause like you started this thing with, King's Council with Steve Weatherford. I mean, you're doing like restaurant type of seminars, 111 in 1 week. That's crazy, man. So like, what got you kind of into this like entrepreneur game?
Yeah, well, I think, I know at an early age, I knew what I didn't want, which is kind of like we're either, motivated by two things, right? It's like the opportunity for more or the fear of loss, or we have with the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. So I knew what I didn't want, and therefore I knew what I needed to do to get something else, right? So one of the things, growing up in small town South Dakota, there's not a huge opportunity from an entrepreneurship standpoint, right? Or just from a mentorship standpoint. I want to preface that, like, there's always opportunity to be an entrepreneur. It's like find a need and then create a situation where people are going to want it, right? Now it was more so I didn't know what that looked like at the age of 15. I took my first job working at a small town little gas station where I grew up. It was making pizzas. Minimum wage at that time was $5.15 an hour. I worked an 8-hour shift, did the math in my head, and I thought there's no way in hell I'm doing that again, right? That's crazy. So I knew my time, even at the age of 15, I knew my time was way more valuable than $5.15 an hour, right? As little value as I could provide at that time. I just knew, because what made me mad was not that somebody else put that value on me, right? Because everybody's going to put a value on you, Chris, or you, Eric. It's like, that's their perception of you. But what made me mad was I allowed that to happen, I accepted that they put that value on my time.
Yeah.
And that's when I just decided that I wasn't going to allow that to happen. But I knew I had to be intentional and seek out mentors and business coaches, entrepreneurs. And it took a lot to be able to do that. Right. It wasn't like I could just find somebody in my local community. We didn't have, this would have been the early 2000s, like 2000, 2001 ish, pre-Facebook. So it's not like I had, a lot of opportunities. I was still listening to like CDs or, it was just like, I had to be intentional on it. I found myself actually driving up to Minnesota here where I am now. Once a month, I would drive up here. It's a 5-hour drive for a weekend, like a success training seminar that I was involved with. So I would surround myself with like-minded people. And I say it that way, not like-minded people, because I don't think it doesn't help us all to be like-minded, right? I think that it's, it's important to be around people that don't necessarily think like us, as long as we're all like-minded, meaning we're all for the greater good, or we're either progressing or we're regressing. I'm a firm believer. You're either growing or you're dying. There's no such thing as just like sitting still or being stagnant. If you're waiting for something, you're dying, right? If you got to be intentional and go out and get it. And that was really this philosophy that I developed at the age of 15, which just in turn, it just kind of snowballed into this idea or concept that I could go earn what I'm worth, not necessarily what somebody else put that value on me. Right. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. I mean, 100%, man. And thanks for sharing that too. And then just really quick, just to add on that, like, was this something that was instilled just like with your parents? Like were your parents entrepreneurs, or did they say like, Rylee, just kind of play it safe, go to school, just get a 9-to-5 and just, be a good citizen?
Yeah. So my dad, technically he would be considered an independent contractor because he delivered mail rural routes. So in the country, that was his job, 6 days a week. It was like a set time that he did this. But really, I don't remember a time where he ever made more than 40 grand a year in his whole career. Right. So it wasn't like, which in South Dakota, that's fine. Like you make a decent living. Right. My folks got divorced at the age of 5. And that was really probably my first step into sales or marketing. Right. And I say that because going at that age, it was a tough time, just kind of shifting between my mom for 1 week, my dad for the next. And one of the things it was just kind of the beginning of my people pleasing kind of nature of what I wanted. Whenever I would be with my mom, I would sneak away and I'd crawl under the bed. I'd pull the phone under the bed. This is, again, remember, a while ago. So it's like a corded phone. I'd crawl under my bed and I would call my dad and just tell him how much I missed him and I wanted to be with him. Right. And then when I was with my dad, I would do the same thing. I would sneak away in the closet and I'd call my mom because I didn't want her to feel like I didn't want to be with her. So it was like this tough time going back and forth. But when I was 9, my mom had remarried. And my stepdad was definitely more of a bigger thinker. He owned his own business. He was an engineer, but he was definitely more entrepreneurial, spirited. And I lived with him between the ages of 9 and 13. And that was really a prime time in my life where I got to understand what it really meant to work for yourself and to be able to think larger and think bigger. So I definitely, I felt like I got the experience of both worlds. And that's where I really knew what I didn't want. Therefore, I was going to do whatever it took to get what I actually wanted. And so I think that was unique to have both experiences. And I know a lot of people don't have that, but there's got to be somebody within the community or, your friend group or something that you can see the two different aspects of kind of the whole rich dad, poor dad concept.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Like I had a somewhat of a version of that where I had to be intentional on who I was going to take advice from, who I wanted to follow. And that was all based upon the fruit in their life. Like I still to this day, I only take advice from those that I want to be like, right? I don't take financial advice from somebody that doesn't make money from me, that doesn't make more money than me. I don't take fitness advice from somebody that's not fitter than I am. That's just kind of a philosophy that I've lived by. And that's why anytime I've chose to level up in an area is I had to seek out what coach, what mentor, who has the fruit that I want. And then I was just going to go be by them, and I was going to glean from them whatever I could possibly get.
Yeah. I love that philosophy. And like, that's the first thing that came to mind when you were telling me the story was like rich dad, poor dad. It sounded just like it, man. So that's pretty awesome. Yeah. So this brings me to the next question. Just like, how did King's Council coaching start, right? Like kind of what is the whole mission behind that and who's this for? And just really quick too. I mean, you have a whole background in like just sales and everything, man. You've been super successful. You've been coaching like for a long time. So yeah, just add upon what he said.
Yeah. So, so over the last decade, my main income source right now, so people know it's a company called Social Dynamic Selling, where we do dinner seminars. We sell to groups of people, one-to-many sales versus just one-on-one. And I loved it because of the ability to leverage your time, your energy, your effort, your marketing dollars into a group presentation versus just one-on-one. So we've done 9 figures with that over the last decade. It's been, financially have been very blessed to be able to learn and understand that sales and marketing kind of strategy, because the product is virtually irrelevant when it comes to it. We've proved it over and over again. It doesn't matter what product it is. It's the system and the sales cycle, the process that you can put in place. That has allowed me to step back and really work on my business versus constantly working in my business. I think so many entrepreneurs have that philosophy of like, they want to work for themselves, but at the end of the day, the business owns them, right? They don't actually own the business. And just in my journey, this last 10, 12 years or so, I knew anytime again, where I just had this, like, it was continually just leveling up at different points, different seasons in my life, where when I transitioned from selling my own products and services to actually consulting people on how to do this, it was sitting back and looking at like, okay, what do I want? Right. Cause it was always like, I kind of on the rise, and then I would plateau, and then I would just have this overwhelmed just feeling of just unfulfillment. Right. Like there's something more. So that, then I would move on to the next thing. So I was consulting people and teaching them how to make money, which is great. We all need to make money. If you have the ability to make money, you better freaking do it. And I'll explain why in a second. And so I was teaching people how to make a decent amount of money, 7 figures. And it was great. But then I was taking a look at their life, and I realized money is only a magnifier of who we already are as human beings. Right. And money's not everything until you don't have enough of it.
Yeah.
And when you don't have enough of it, then it becomes everything to us. And I believe that's why we're constantly chasing after it, and it's constantly fleeing us. Right. Because I think so many people, I actually just ripped a podcast on our podcast. It aired today on this concept that so many people are loving money in their poverty. And I have a whole teaching. I won't go into that on this, but I really think that's the issue today, especially with kingdom minded or Christian entrepreneurs. Right. And that's really how King's Council, part of the vision that we had when forming King's Council, was this, that there are, we believe that there's really 5 components, 5 power pillars that we teach. And if we can master every single one of these, our mental, our emotional, our physical, our spiritual, and then the financial components, if we can master and operate in excellence in every one of those areas, we know that we are going to be walking out the God-given calling on our lives. But if any of those areas is a little off, right? We call this the wheel of harmony. If any of those areas is off, you can have a divot in your wheel, and life can be clunky, and it just might not flow. You might not have that rhythm type of life, or that harmonious type of life that you're looking for. So that's what we really focus on in the King's Council. And how that really came about was about 1.5 years ago, man. I was sitting on my couch living a pretty good life, right? Like we just moved into a beautiful lake home in Minnesota here. And from the outside looking in, it was like everybody would just think that we had a pretty good life, right? Everything from the outside looking in. But still, remember, anytime that I felt like just this feeling of unfulfillment, or just like I need something more. Like this isn't what life's all about. It's not just about making money. I've proven it. Like I'm still unsatisfied, right? Ask any multimillionaire, billionaire that, on their dying wishes, their deathbed, none of them are like, well, I just wish I would have made more money.
Yeah.
Not a single person said that. Right. And granted, money is wonderful. We absolutely need to make it, because in order to have a true lasting legacy type impact, it's important to have that component down. But I was looking at, of all places, on Instagram, and I'm scrolling through and I see this cat named Steve Weatherford on Instagram, and I'm watching his story, and he's like, swipe up, get Armageddon, big muscles, get swole, whatever. But I started to follow like what his life was all about. And he started to have a lot of, his family involved. And I started to see he went on date nights, Friday night date nights with his wife, and he was intentional on things. And I thought, man, this guy has some fruit that I want. Right. Former Super Bowl champion. He's excelled at multiple areas in his life. He's obviously yoked. He's got like great, he's everything's dialed in. Is there anything that I could like get from him?
I know what you're thinking. You're probably like, dude, come on. I was literally watching this video, watching this interview, and you literally just pop up on the screen and interrupt it. Trust me, there's a good reason for this. Just hold on, and I'm gonna let you get back to that interview or that video. Trust me, all right? So the reason why I stopped you on this is because we're giving away our book 100% free. Okay, so if you're a frustrated fitness professional, you're not growing fast enough, you're looking to future-proof and recession-proof your business by adding online training, or if you're doing online training, you want to scale and grow faster, all you have to do is check out our new book. We're giving the audio away, we're giving the PDF away. So all you have to do is click the link below in the description box and get your free copy. All right, so now back to the video.
Right, so that was my thought is like, okay, this guy seems like he's got his relationships dialed in. My wife and I, we had a okay relationship. Right. It was good, but it wasn't great. It wasn't like, one of the things that Keith teaches is to never let good be the robber of great, right? Yes. Or your best. And I literally DM'd him on Instagram and I said, hey brother, I love what you got going on. And we just started to actually communicate. And it was a time where he was taking on coaching clients. And I filled out the application, sent it into him. We got on the phone. And it's kind of funny when he tells this story. He's like, bro, I don't know what you're looking for from me, but if you're looking for like business coaching, I'm not sure I could help you. And that's not what I was looking for. I just wanted somebody to rap with that had like the same beliefs and philosophy that I wanted. Right. And so I invested into him. I was paying him $3,000 a month to hop on the phone with me once a week. And we just started to rap. And through that process, we developed a decent relationship. And about 7 months ago or so, as he was kind of dwindling down his group coaching program that he had in place, he called it Man Academy. He was looking to really take that to the next level. And one of the things that I've learned and started to just implement in my life was, again, another philosophy of Keith's is that within our alignments, birth our assignments.
Yes.
And, alignments with, my belief is God Almighty as the number one alignment, but then the alignments in this on this earth as well with people and relationships that I can develop. Number one, my marriage, my daughter, Ellie, and then business relationships, right? If I can have my alignments in place, assignments are going to be birthed. And through that, Steve and I, just through conversation, started to just discuss what it would look like on a partnership in coaching. At this time, it was just men. The original vision was just coaching men to, maximize all of those areas, their physical fitness, their mental, emotional, the spiritual component. And then what I could bring to the table would be the financial component on how people can really make money as Christians, make money and not feel like we're a bad person or it's greedy or, because it takes money to actually have that true impact, right? And to not just leave that legacy, but to live that legacy right now. And that's what we've been doing, man. With the King's Council, it's just been absolutely epic the last few months as we've grown this and put this together. Where we're doing group coaching, we do it all online, group coaching, but then every month we have live events as well, where we're able to come together, different areas throughout the country and just do life together. Yeah, right. There's just that the ability to lock arms with people and just do life together. Like-minded people, not like-minded, but they're all like-minded.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I love what you said, man, about just like, anybody can just kind of get to that point where they're making all that money, but it just is like a magnifier of who they really are. Right. But that's what Pastor Keith said, like a couple of services ago on a Sunday, where it's just like, you can make all this money in the world, but what the true kind of meaning of life is building relationships. And that's what you guys are doing, you know, with King's Council coaching, is building like that brotherhood, like doing life together, the relationships, to where it's like, man, like you can make all the money in the world, but if you don't have those meaningful relationships to fulfill you, you're going to be empty. You're going to be really empty.
Absolutely. It's so true, man. And I was living proof of that. It was like, what's next? Because I mean, legacy it's threefold. Certainly there's a money component to it, and then there's the intellect, like what we've learned, the knowledge that we can pass on. But the most important part is our character traits, who we are as a human being, what we're becoming in the process. Right? We teach three components when we're starting to cast vision on our life, and it's certainly what do you want to have, what do you want to do, but the most important part is, who are you becoming in the process, right? Like you can have all the things in the world, you can do all the things in the world, all the material success in the world. But if who you're becoming is not dialed in, that vision isn't clear, everything else is completely fleeting. And it does start, as you mentioned, with the relationships and the alignments in your life. That's the true legacy that we're able to pass on from generation to generation to generation.
Absolutely. And really quick, I just want to just touch on that point, Rylee, about the alignments and assignments. And when we spoke to you last, we were on your podcast, we were in LA. And I remember, man, like we were there for about 7 years, long time in LA. And we're just like, you know, we got a good life here. We're doing good stuff. But we're just unfulfilled. There's something missing. And it was the spiritual component. Now that I see it, and that I've been here in Frisco, been very actively just with like the community of Elevate Life Church. And it's all making sense now as to like where the alignments and now the assignments going forward.
Yep.
Love it, man. I'm so stoked you guys are in Frisco now.
Me too. I know, man. Yeah, dude.
Who'd have thought?
Yeah, last Sunday at the service, they were introducing Steve Weatherford, man. I was like, this is super awesome, man. It's such an honor being at this church, you know? So it's like, I'll never take it for granted. And then the Saturday Mighty Men, and just, it's been awesome, man. It really is. And then to hear that you're going to be there in Frisco once in a while. I mean, man.
Absolutely, man. We're raising up, we're planting our flag there. We're going to be raising up the next generation of leaders. And you know, you guys are going to be running the physical side of it for us. We're going to get everybody yoked.
would love to help out in any way possible, man. So really quick, you on your guys' website on King's Council, you said the most important skill for any CEO to master is execution and getting shit done. How does one do
Does
this?
Does it say
Rylee?
that on our website?
No, I don't think it says. I just said that. He's like, I'm gonna go check it.
Right? It wouldn't surprise me, but it probably shouldn't be on the King's Council website.
Yeah, I say getting shit done a lot on the podcast, so the listeners know. But yeah, how does someone do this with like all these distractions and just the uncertainty in life right now?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, 100%. It is about execution, and it is with action comes clarity. This is something that we teach a lot on, and because I think so many people just they're letting life come at them, and they're living a reactive life versus going after life and living intentional. And so if you don't have, but it really all does start with the vision that you have for your life. Like if that's cloudy or that's not clear, right? If we don't have 2020 vision, now it's 2021, we can say that. If we don't have 2020 vision of where what we're doing, what the goal is for our life, not even the goal, but just the actual vision, because goals are not vision. I want to make sure people understand that goals are going to be stepping stones that you can walk out, you know, benchmarks that you can hit to actually to live the vision. But a vision is like a predetermined, just this is what I'm casting for my life. This is what my family looks like. This is what, you know, where I live. These are the core values that I have. How I'm going to make all of my decisions are already determined by the core values that I have in my life. So when tough decisions come at us, they're instantaneous decisions that we don't have to think about or pray about, or like that we just know because it is an alignment with the core values that I've declared for my life. And that's where it's easier to execute when you got those dialed in. When I know the vision, it's easy. Does this get me closer to my vision or further away from my vision? The decision's simple, right? But if you don't know what that is, then that's where it can be hard, and you may be going, man, I don't know if this is the right decision. Should I do this business deal? Should I partner with this guy? Are we equally yoked? Is my relationship with my spouse, my potential spouse? Those are tough decisions if you don't know what your vision is for your life. So if you got your vision dialed in, then it's easy to walk out a God-given template that we continually go by is having vision, understanding the culture that you're creating, who you're surrounding yourself with, putting in systems and processes, the structure and order to put in place, whether it's your business or your relationship, to create momentum into your life, right? And then ultimately just continually walk that out. So no matter what we call, that's the 7 days of creation. If that makes sense, it's like God said, let there be light, right? And then he separated the heavens, the skies from the earth, and they created the culture and the atmosphere. And then he created the birds of the air, the animals. Then he created order, right? Night and day, night and day. There's a structure. God's given us these templates. The problem is we complicate it. Right. We complicate so much. It's not that hard. Life is not that hard if we get back to the God-given templates that he's already provided us.
Yep,
right?
Exactly.
It's not that hard.
Exactly, man. And that's why it's like we've constantly said Keith's name on this. I think we'll keep saying it more, man. But he's just been such a huge impact on us because of that reason, by just living a more simplistic life, right? And I like what you said too, just where, I mean, people need to know their core values, man, because a lot of people are living their life, by default, not by design. And if you have your core values in place, you have your life in design pretty much,
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you design it appropriately, your new default should be by design. I love that. Live your life by design, not by default.
100%, man. All right, Rylee. So let's switch gears here. Let's talk about lifestyle, since this is the Dynamic Lifestyle podcast. So what does a normal, typical day in the life look like for Rylee Meek?
Bro, if I knew what that was, I have to look at my calendar every night to lay out what my day is. But here's the thing. It all comes down to my core values of one of the things that we teach, and actually Stephen Covey kind of coined this, the big rock, little rock exercise, right? And one of the things that we teach is we dial this in on a annually, monthly, weekly, and I have to do it on a nightly basis of knowing what my non-negotiables are every single day. And if I can have a clear understanding of what that is every night, I can get a much better night's rest. So when I wake up, I know exactly what I have to do, or what my non-negotiables are that I'm going to accomplish that day. Examples. If because my list of to-dos is endless. I've got so many different things that I can work on, but I have to prioritize this to understand what I need to work on or what I should work on. And again, all that comes back to the core values and the vision that I have for my life, right? If the problem is people get so busy that they're not productive. Yeah. Right. There's a difference between being productive and being busy. Yep. Right. I can come into this. You see my office here is it's a freaking, looks like I don't even know, like an empty warehouse here right now.
It looks lonely.
We're transitioning. If you look in the background here, it doesn't look like much is here because there's not. But we're transitioning into a new office. But I could easily come in here and be organizing my desk and different things like that. But if I'm not actually producing, doing revenue creating activities or things that need to get done in order to grow, I'm wasting my time, right? Those are tasks that I can delegate, or I can find. We need to make the best use of our time. So every day for me, this is a long answer to your question, by the way, sorry. Every day for me is different based upon, number one, where I'm at, because I'm usually either in a hotel room or in a different state. Once I'm in probably on average 2 different states every single week. So it just kind of depends on where I'm at, but I know what my non-negotiables are, right? I'm always going to spend some time in the Word. I'm going to spend some time in prayer. I'm always going to get some sort of workout in, fitness, whatever it is. If it's doing push-ups and sit-ups in my hotel room, that's all I have access to, I'm still going to do that. Those are some easy non-negotiables. And then it's really what are the tasks for the day? Is it King's Council? Do I have to prepare a message for that? The last 2 days, as you guys have seen, we've had this large online summit where there are 4 hours of I needed to have some content. So leading up to that, my non-negotiables were making sure that the flow of that is going to go, right? And making sure that our speakers are taken care of. But now that it's over, I have new non-negotiables, and it's making sure that everybody that was on is getting followed up correctly, right? But the point is that I have systems in place. I have systems in place to checks and balance my systems. right? And that's the only way that you're going to be able to multitask, right? Because most people can't multitask, or they think they are, and they're the least productive people on the planet, because they get a lot of busy work done, but they're not actually getting true fruit done.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So every day is different for me, but it's always starts with my non-negotiables, what I have to accomplish for that day. And then those are the things that I hit first. Those are the big rocks. If I get those done, then I can go check my email. Then I can go to social media. Then I can go wherever it is that are the smaller rocks within my life.
Yeah. And I love that. I love the whole thing of just the small rocks versus the big rocks. It makes perfect sense. So, Rylee, you said earlier about you're a big proponent on just you're either growing or dying daily. So I'm going to go a little deep here. If you only had 5 years to live, what would you stop doing?
5 years to live, what would I stop doing? I'm not sure that I would stop anything, bro.
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't stop doing anything, because right now I'm living the life that I want to live. It's not like I'm going to stop working out, because I mean, I enjoy working out, number one, right? And it's not, I'm not going to stop doing anything. I'm going to live my life to the day that I die. I'm going to continue to do what I do, because I'm either progressing up until the last minute or seconds that I kick the bucket, or I'm dying. I'm not going to waste another minute, prior to that.
Right on.
I love that,
Right
man.
on.
You just
I respect that.
You stuck your flagpole in the ground and unapologetic. So Rylee, like if somebody just like met you, man, like, and didn't know like anything about you, like what's something just kind of just like that you don't really talk about on social media or to much people that like just it's surprising, if you told this to somebody about you.
I'm a Green Bay Packer fan.
Okay.
49ers here.
To a lot of people. But something real, I guess, and I think a lot of people struggle with this, no matter where you're at in life, is self-limiting beliefs.
Yes. Yep.
And it's a real thing. No matter, like, think of your favorite person Keith Craft. He's got self-limiting beliefs, right? Ed Milet we had on, Jesse Itzler, these guys who've accomplished like far and beyond anything that we would ever like just think we could do, right? And like, even when I get on, heck, prior to even coming on this, it's like, why the heck do these guys even want to listen to me? What do I have that's so great, right? Like, we all have that. And there's some people that would teach, man, if you don't have that, if you don't have some version of imposter syndrome, you're not putting yourself in the proper circles, right? Like, you got to be push yourself to that next like uncomfortable zone. Otherwise, if you only do the things that are comfortable, you're going to be a fat, lazy piece of crap, right? Like, I mean, that's this reality that we got to grow there before we go there. But that's the point. It's the pain of discipline or the pain of regret, right? And it's you got to choose one or the other. Everything's hard in life. It's hard to be broke, right? But it's also hard to be rich.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to work out, but it's just as hard to be fat. You just got to choose your hard. Choose your hard. And you got it.
I love it. I love it. No, well said. And then just you got to grow there before you go there.
You got it.
All right, Rylee. Well, I mean, man, I just want to before I ask the last question, I just want to take a moment just to acknowledge you and just say thank you, for your time, all your wisdom that you brought on today. It's been a great conversation. And I just want to wish you just nothing but success going forward, man. I mean, you've been doing a lot of things in the past. I know you got a great vision going forward, and you're going to be here in Frisco. So just cheers to more health, wealth, love, and happiness your way.
I received that, guys. I appreciate that. I received that tenfold. I'm getting in on Monday. I'm there for the next 12 days, guys. Okay. So you better come crush the workout with me.
Yeah, absolutely. So what does living a dynamic lifestyle mean to Rylee Meek?
A dynamic lifestyle. I was thinking through this with one of my coaching clients this morning on like, what does success really mean to them? And my definition of success is doing what I want, when I want, with who I want, where I want, how I want. Like, it's complete freedom. So if I'm living a dynamic lifestyle, it is doing what I want, when I want, where I want, with with who I want, how I want, right? Like that's the dynamic component. I didn't even realize this, but my other company is called the Social Dynamic Selling System. Like there's a dynamic in every relationship that takes place. And the most important one, I think, is the relationship with ourselves. And if you've got that dynamic, like that which really comes back to our core values that we talked about, like this is the flag that I'm putting in the ground. This is who I am and what I'm standing for. That's the dynamic lifestyle that I think we all should live.
Man, 100%. If you were on stage, Rylee, I'd say mic drop, man.
Perfect.
Well, cool, Rylee. Like, where can the listeners go and follow all the cool stuff you're doing and then learn about King's Council?
And if there's anything we can support you on.
For sure. So we're on Instagram. It's at the Rylee Meek. Rylee spelled a little crazy, Ryle or at King's Council Coaching. Best yet is easy is probably just to text me 727-472-3860. Texting King will get you information on the King's Council and what we're all about. I've got lots of just find me on Instagram, and then you can check out everything else that we do from a sales marketing standpoint. But King's Council is really where we're focusing on now, and we're having the biggest impact, not only in this country, man, but we're going worldwide with this baby. So that's how you can support us, man. Come on tour with us. Let's make this happen.
It's an awesome thing, man.
We'll have all that linked up in the show notes. Once again, guys, go check out Rylee, what he's doing. Rylee, thank you again for your time. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, guys. Appreciate you.
All right, guys, until next time.
Hey, what's going on? Thank you so much for watching that interview we just did with Rylee Meek. Hopefully you got a ton of value out of it, especially the 5 power pillars he talked about to becoming a kingdom-based entrepreneur. So if you guys like that, then you're gonna like this next video right here. We did an interview with Patrick Bet-David. He talks about your next 5 moves in life and in business. Absolute pure gold that he dropped. So make sure to click this right here. That'll take you to the interview, and I would love to hear your best takeaway from the interview we just did with Rylee Meek below. All right, other than that, we'll see you next time.